Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Zykers, and I am the Executive Assistant to CSE Dean Moscave. I want to welcome you all here today and give you some general information before we start our session. At any time throughout today's town hall, please feel free to enter any questions that you have into the Q&A function, which you'll find at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We will do our best to answer as many questions live as possible, and we'll also answer via text for any that we don't have time to address. I also wanted to let you know that we're recording today's town hall and that the video will be posted on our UMN CSE YouTube channel, and we'll have that up by the end of next week. So we'll begin this session with introductions, starting with CSE's Dean Moscave.
Good afternoon, students. Let me add my welcome to you to this particular town hall. And first, we'll take some time to introduce the members of the panel from the Dean's office who are on the call for us. We have significant expertise sitting here with us, and hopefully we can answer any questions you may have. So I will pass on to Associate Dean Paul Strikowski first.
Good afternoon and welcome. And some of you may be not afternoon, you may be somewhere else on the planet, and we welcome you. It's not how we wanted to see you, but it's great. So I'm Paul Strikowski, Associate Dean responsible for undergraduate programs and a faculty member in mechanical engineering.
Ellen?
Hi, I'm Ellen Longmire. I'm Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, and I handle issues to do with faculty and graduate students, graduate programs, and otherwise I'm a professor in aerospace engineering and mechanics.
Hi, I'm Joe Constan. I'm Associate Dean for Research and a faculty member in Computer Science and Engineering. Among other things, I handle the requests to return to campus for research activities and research labs. And so for the many of you that I hope are taking advantage of the opportunity to conduct research with faculty through UROPs, through REU experiences, senior theses, if those research experiences require access to campus labs, I'll be the one who's looking through and I hope approving your requests to come back to campus.
Hello, I'm Susan Kubicek. I'm your Assistant Dean in Student Services and also the Director of Collegiate Life. And I have to say that I really miss seeing all of you in Lind Hall this week.
Hello, I'm Amy Gunter, and I am the Director of Academic Advising for the college.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angie Froisted, and I'm the Director of the CSE Career Center.
Hi, I'm Jim McDonald. I'm the IT Director for the College of Science and Engineering.
Hello, I'm Rhonda Zern. I'm the Director of Communications and Marketing for the College of Science and Engineering.
Well, thank you, colleagues. Let me go back and once again welcome you to this call, but more so, welcome you to fall 2020. This is a historic fall. It has been a historic last few months. I hope, first of all, that you're all well, you're safe, wherever you are, as Dean Strikowski mentioned, whether you're with us in the Twin Cities, at home still, in the US, or perhaps even some of you elsewhere around the world. As was mentioned already, we all wish we could be with you in person. I particularly last year really enjoyed meeting with all our first year students during their CSE 1001 classes. And that was such a great delight to be close to you in person, in small gatherings. And I'm really sorry that I don't have that opportunity this year, but the Zoom medium certainly gives us a possibility that we could even communicate more frequently or as needed or appropriately. So I hope we can take advantage of the technology as it presents to us. We have been, the faculty staff, the graduate students who are teaching assistants, and also a number of undergraduates who help us on our teaching mission, have been very busy over the past few months trying to adapt and adopt new modalities, fine-tune new modalities as we have learned with the university and through the guidance of the university administration, different ways of delivering on our absolute fundamental responsibility, which is teaching our students first and foremost. I realize that this has been a few months of frustration for some of you. A lot of questions that have come up because it has been such an evolving situation. We have been watching our peer institutions as they have opened before we have opened to see how things have progressed, how they have worked. And the university has adjusted its mechanisms, both in terms of campus housing, transition to the campus, as well as the way we can deliver our classes and laboratories in many ways. And we can speak about a lot of these things as we go on today. I do want to highlight another issue, and some of you may have been involved in these. In addition to the pandemic, this historic situation, and I should remind all of us that today is September 11th, is another day that we memorialize and remember the tragedy that perhaps for some of you was before you were even born, and certainly for some of you when you were very, very small and may have no memory of the event. That tragedy, that loss of lives that happened in New York City and its impact that has followed elsewhere in Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C., really changed the way we operate in many ways. I'm sure I don't have to tell you, maybe you don't remember it for some of you, but it certainly has changed how we operate when we travel by airlines in particular. So certain things have changed. The COVID has highlighted other issues. And as we go forward, both this year and in the future, some other changes may become part of the way we're all going to be living, as well as educating ourselves, learning and educating and delivering on our mission. So this is another thing that we all have to be aware of, and we will do our best as instructors, as staff, and through our administrative duties to do the best we can to provide you the best education possible. Another thing that has happened, and that's why this is such a critical historic last few months, is that in addition to the COVID, the murder of George Floyd, not far from the campus at University of Minnesota, highlighted a number of real challenges and issues that have been going on for a long time and keep coming back to us, unfortunately, in terms of areas of social justice, but in particular highlighting the voice of the Black community and the challenges that they have faced, as well as broadly for communities of color and our indigenous communities. This is another thing that has created possibilities for us to re-examine everything that we do in those lights as well, and try the best that we can to improve our own sense of diversity, inclusivity, improve the climate, the sense of belonging for all of our students, staff, and faculty within the College of Science and Engineering and University of Minnesota broadly. It's an ongoing conversation, an ongoing discussion. A lot of initiatives that are happening around this issue have already taken place, but it's just the beginning. It's something that we have focused on, and we will do more and better as we go along. And some of you may have been engaged in those conversations as well, either through your departments or through the communities that you live in. I guess the last thing I would say before handing off to Dean Strikowski, and we can come back and have further conversations, is, and I talked about this last year with our incoming students, is that under, I would say, pre-COVID situations, we all would come to campus and we expected our students to come and not only get their classes, get the first class education that we all strive to provide to you, but also to have great fun. And I hope that you will, under the constraints that we all are operating, continue to have fun, continue to take advantage of many possibilities that are different, are much more constrained than in the past, at least for the next few months. But do take advantage of so many possibilities that the university offers, still under the conditions that we're operating. But do that in a really thoughtful and responsible way. Because as you very well know, the way we behave, the way we follow the instructions and guidelines for safety really impacts all of us, not ourselves individually, but in the way that what we do will impact the health and safety of everybody else within the community around us, your classmates, the staff, faculty, and everybody else. So I urge you to take all the advice, all the guidelines that have been provided to you seriously, and more so to take advantage of all the resources that university offers, in particular with respect to health, safety, and mental health in particular, and reach out to those who can help you. There are many, many resources available that you should really take advantage of to stay well, stay positive, take advantage of all the resources that we offer, and the classes that you all have signed up to benefit from. So let me stop at this point and go to Dean Strikowski.
Thank you, Dean Cave. It is exciting to have you back. As I mentioned before, we're not back exactly how we wanted to be, but one of the things that I pride College of Science and Engineering, our undergraduates, is the personal touch. And I want you to know that we are here. We have been here all summer. We have lived through this like you have lived through this. And I understand it causes additional stress, but I want to stay positive. We have an outstanding class coming in. The college is very, very strong. We have the highest percentage of female students, highest percentage of students of color we have ever had in our undergraduate population. You come from all over the country, all over the world. And we look forward to, actually, we've created a curriculum, while I admit is virtual in many cases. Almost 2/3 of you will have some opportunity to engage with each other students and engage with faculty, teaching support in limited face-to-face activities. Lind Hall is a wonderful place. And for those of you who've been on campus, you know that it is vibrant, the best Starbucks on the planet, I like to say. We are student services. We are here to serve our students. We love our students. We have academic advising. Director Amy Gunter is here. We have Collegiate Life. Assistant Dean Susan Kubicek is here. And we have our Career Center, and that is Director Angie Froisted. And we are open. We are open for business. We have drop-in hours that we can talk to you. In fact, we've had more engagement actually with our students, because apparently it's easier to Zoom us than it is to, walk into our offices. And so let's take advantage of where we are right now. And hopefully as we move through this semester, as the Dean mentioned, and we're safe and we're thoughtful and we're respectful, we can learn and we can engage and we can participate in the full, rich life that college is really all about. We encourage you students every Sunday night, make a note of this, we will send you a very detailed Communication. It's our once a week newsletter. And I get there's a lot of things to look at, a lot of things to keep track of, but all critical information is there. We may at the last minute hear of a scholarship. We have an upcoming virtual career fair, which is a great opportunity to get connected and of course get some first or multiple professional experiences. We are open for business and we're here to talk to you and we want you to reach out to us. But that newsletter is very critical. We give timely information and sometimes we don't know it until we know it and we will communicate it to you. And it is CSE specific and it's CSE undergraduate specific particularly. And remember the career fair, which is coming up in about end of this month, will not only talk about job opportunities, but internships, co-ops, as well as graduate schools. So we're here, we're open. I can't overstate that. We certainly understand that there's a lot of variables you're juggling right now. Classes, I think we worked very hard to create an online curriculum, if that's the mode that you're in, that is dynamic, that is accessible, that is both synchronous and asynchronous, depending on the needs of the community. But make sure you have as much access as you ever had to student services, as well as your faculty and your teaching assistants reach out. And we all are very cognizant of the fact that it can be a stressful time, but let's look positive. And as the dean said, let's try to have some fun. And as the scene behind me suggests, we do have a lovely fall coming up, and it's turned fall like rather quickly, I must admit, here in the Upper Midwest. But it's a lovely place, and we want you to participate in the whole experience of the collegiate that we have here in the College of Science and Engineering. And on that, others may want to jump in, or otherwise we could certainly take your questions, which is very important for you to let us know what you're thinking. We don't know the answers to everything, and things could change, but so far, our institution is doing a very, very nice job of keeping a close eye on things, being thoughtful, being respectful, and trying to take care of each other as we do the best we can to learn in this environment. Dean, you are muted.
Thank you, Paul. I'll see if Dean Longmire wishes to add a few comments.
Thanks. I'll just say from my perspective, I am typically dealing with graduate students, but one point to mention is for those of you that are juniors or seniors, if you're thinking about graduate study, we're very proud of our programs, which stretch across all of our traditional departments and also include additional interdisciplinary programs. And one that's brand new this year is a master's in robotics that's just launching with its first master's students. So I just want you to know that we're a resource should you have questions in thinking about your future.
I'll just add one more word in all of this, which is to remember that the University of Minnesota is a phenomenal research university. And partly I say this out of the pride in what our faculty and our students have done, even since the onset of the COVID pandemic. We have people who've been in the lab working on everything from potential vaccines to diagnostics to protective equipment that keep the people who are administering tests safe, to sterilization techniques and everything else. Some of those labs with undergraduates working right alongside graduate students and faculty. But I also say that because it's such an important part of your education to take the time to get to know faculty, go to their websites, learn about their research, and see whether in this time you have the time and opportunity to engage in that. And we have lots of programs to support you in doing that. The vast majority of the research that students are engaging in can be done from their home, their dorm room, wherever you are at the time. Some of it requires on-site access, but at any time we have hundreds and in some cases thousands of students engaging in research activities, and I really do want to take every opportunity to remind you that that can be a valuable part of your education here at the University of Minnesota.
Thank you, Dean Constant. So we're really open to questions, but one thing I wish to add, and you may know about this already, students, is that in addition to their research experiences that many of our undergraduates are engaged in, of course, there are many other experiential opportunities for our undergraduates, and some of them have been going on actually even during the summer, and they're very active as we speak. An example is the Solar Vehicle Project. I know that, I think at the last count, there were about 30 students who at different times have had the permission. They have gone through the appropriate safety protocols and training, but these students have received permission to be engaged so that that particular solar car is being designed, is being constructed for the next race. So these things are happening all over, and you should be aware of those, certainly. Let me see if any of our other Assistant Dean Kubitschek, do you wish to add anything?
Well, actually, I was really excited to work with a number of our student groups already this week. The student board, SWE, Tesla Works, CSE ambassadors. It's so great to have our students back and start getting engaged in all of the activities that we never really stopped planning on doing. Things are going to look really different this year. I was working with the light show, for example, this past week, and just doing things virtual, and there's such a positive student group. So I think that's the most important thing. There's still so many activities. We created a Flipgrid for all of our student groups to post little videos and just tell everybody, especially the new students to campus, all the exciting things that we have going this fall semester. So we will see you on campus sometime, but it's going to be a very efficient way of work for the next few months.
Thank you. And Amy, Director Gunter, anything?
Sure. I think it'd be helpful to remind everyone that, as Dean Strikowski mentioned, we are open for business, and it may look a little different than walking into Lind Hall, but we do have drop-in hours in academic advising, for study abroad, as well as career services. And so follow along on Twitter, check those student announcements, because all of those links are available there. We are answering phones in our office live Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. And so if you need to get a hold of someone, those are some great ways that you can do so immediately, as well as, of course, reaching out to our student services team, your academic advisor, whether that's in the college or in the department. We have remote and Zoom appointments that we can schedule with you. So all of the services that you have received and are familiar with in the past, we are continuing to offer. We're just doing most of those through Zoom. So reach out with questions or concerns if we can help.
Thank you very much. And Director Froisted.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to actually take maybe a couple minutes just to talk about what's going on in career services, because that is really going to look a little bit different this fall. If you're a returning student, you may have attended the CSE Fall Career Fair, which is still happening. This year, it's just going to be virtual. So we're really excited about it. We've actually partnered with a vendor called Career Fair Plus to offer a virtual career fair for students. It will be the end of the month, Tuesday, September 29th and Wednesday, September 30th from 11 to 5 Central Time. So if you are looking for an internship for next summer or a full-time job, maybe you're a graduating senior, we really encourage you to attend this event. And really the great part about a virtual fair is there's no waiting in line. So if you've been to the fair in the past, you know that lines can be a little bit long. That will not be the case for this event. You'll actually be able to sign up for preset times to talk with employers. So now is a really great time to download the app. You can begin researching employers. We have 165 that are signed up to attend the fair. So really great number. Here coming up on Monday, September 21st, you can actually begin signing up for those appointments with companies. So definitely get started, researching, seeing what opportunities are out there, and then you can sign up for those companies that you're interested in. So to get you ready for the fair, we've got a lot of events, a lot of virtual preparation events coming up the week of September 21st, anything from resumes to interviewing, job search strategies. If you've been to our resume marathon event in the past, we will be holding that as well in a virtual format. So that will be on September 25th, right before the career fair. So if you're interested in getting your resume reviewed by an employer, definitely attend that event. Just like Amy said, we'll be doing a lot of drop-ins. We even have some extended drop-ins before the fair. So check out our website. I can put a link in the chat box too with all the information about our career fair. So really, in addition to the career fair, all other fall recruiting will be virtual. So companies will be holding virtual information sessions. Most interviews will be virtual as well. Gold Pass powered by Handshake is really the best place to find out about all of those events, interviews. Everything you need to know is in Gold Pass. So be sure to check that. Lots of things happening in September and October, as they usually are, just in a different format, but we're really excited. So beyond the career fair, of course, we're available to talk about any topics related to your career development. If you're a first-year student exploring majors, career exploration, graduate school, really many topics. If you have any questions, feel free to sign up for an appointment to meet with one of our career counselors or attend one of our drop-ins. So we're here and available to talk with you, and really excited to have you participate in all of our fall events.
Thank you very much, Angie. And I realize that for many of us, we are, particularly with this Zoom medium that we're all operating under, and other needs for technology, that IT is a critical issue often. And I'll just ask Director McDonald to say a few words about the resources that are available for our students, and particularly the situation with the computer labs in the College of Science and Engineering.
All of our computer labs are open with their cleaning supplies, and some of the seats, of course, are closed to maintain proper distancing. We also have we've beefed up our virtual environment, so you can have Linux desktops through Volt 3D. You can also get Windows desktops through Apps to Go. Apps to Go has also been revamped and brought up to speed, so it should be even faster than it used to be. And hopefully most of the wait times will be very small. In addition to that, we also have some equipment downstairs in cases of emergency. Like if you're about to attend a class or take a test and your laptop blows up, you can contact us and we'll try and set you up with something that will allow you to learn in an efficient way. And there are things like web cameras that are also available. So please send mail to csehelp@umn.edu for any IT-related problems or suggestions you might have.
Thank you. And I guess I'll end at least the formal part of the presentation, if you wish, because everybody has been receiving a lot of communications from the university, from the different offices of the university, from the president of the university, some of it from the college, and others. And it's really important for us to archive all of this information and have it easily accessible to you. So I'd like to ask Director Zern to say a few words about the college's website, a good way for you to find all that information.
Yeah, we have been working over the summer to do our best to try to help sort through all of the emails and all of the content that's been out there. There's just a myriad of information. And I'll share in the chat after we're done, but we've compiled the information for various audiences on a website within our CSE website. And it's csE.umn.edu/COVID-19. And it really will help you sort through all of that information and get to the right websites on everything that you might need. And there specifically is a button there for undergraduate students. And we're trying to keep that up to date at all times. And then also, as Paul mentioned, keeping you up to date on things through student news that comes out to undergraduate students every Sunday night. So those are the two areas where, if you really want to keep up to date, that's the most important places where you can get the latest information.
Thank you, Rhonda. Paul, would you like to wrap up the formal presentation, so to speak?
Well, yeah, you can see the enthusiasm we have, and we want to see you, but believe me, having a one-on-one meeting or a few students in a meeting is a great way to connect. Stay connected if you can, for sure. And let's just, one of the questions here is just like, what can we all do? What can you do as students? And we can just be thoughtful. We can study and socialize, but do it respectfully. And if this all works well, the chance of us getting back to campus and maybe wandering around the lovely green space we call home can happen, and it can happen sooner. And we're all pining for that, and we all want that. And I look forward to it myself. And I think we just have to be thoughtful, and we can still have a good time, but we just be respectful of everyone's concern for health and safety.
Okay, very good. I guess if we could go through the Q&A. Elizabeth, would you like to share some of these with us?
Sure, we have some great questions that have come in. We'll begin with the first one, that is, what have we learned from some of the other schools in the area that have opened sooner?
Well, one thing that's immediate is how the university decided to actually delay its on-campus housing move-in dates. So, and that's one, and connected to that as well, before it is for the university to decide to have the first 2 weeks at least of the semester be online. These are important because some of the campuses that had opened early on ended up having to actually switch. So they had in-person students coming into dormitories right from the start. And unfortunately, because of a rapid rise in the number of cases, positive cases, COVID cases that they had on campus, they had to pivot and either send students back to their homes, or in many cases, for example, University of Wisconsin-Madison has done this now, is to go online for the first couple of weeks. So we have watched these, and therefore the university has adjusted its plans and its calendar of how to more gradually bring students on campuses for on-campus housing, as well as the way we actually deliver the classes. These are just some of the lessons that have been very important by being a late starter, so to speak, for our semester. Any of my colleagues who wish to add to these?
I might just add, Dean Cave, it goes to the second question, what can students do to pitch in? We all have to be in this together. And I think reminding each other of the need to be safe, reminding each other that what we do matters to the community as a whole. And if we're thoughtful and we care about each other, we're just a better community generally. And yeah, be thoughtful, be careful, keep an eye on your own health. If you feel ill, get it checked out for sure, and communicate with others. hand washing. I don't know how many times we've been talking about hand washing, but my hands are still here despite all the washing I've gone through the last several months. And keep, just be civil with each other and try to remind each other that we're in this together. And if we, I don't think it's good to poke holes at other institutions and how they have handled it. We're all learning from this, but we want this to work. And, we'll look back 10 years from now and go, I think we made this happen. And I believe strongly in the integrity of our faculty, staff, and students to really be able to get this done. So let's be positive and enjoy a lovely fall on the Minneapolis and St. Paul campuses.
I'd like to add one thing to this is I think most of us, I know that I've been meeting with fellow IT directors from around the Big Ten, and we've been comparing notes for most of the summer on how to best prepare for what was coming in the fall. So we are learning from each other, and I know that the associate deans and deans have the same kind of collaboration. So we've tried to reach out as much as we can to our colleagues and all learn from each other.
That's a good point. Absolutely. Another question?
Yes, we have another question, and this relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that is, as part of student groups, they've found that some of the initiatives that they've thought of to promote DE&I have been against policies that are related to COVID. They didn't get into specifics, but I'm guessing that, yeah, like gatherings and things like that. So how can they bring people together while at the same time following policies that are in place?
I don't know. Susan, anything to?
Susan, I mean, I could.
Or
there are some outstanding programs that we have, and you can have pretty deep conversations with each other and learn from each other in a remote environment like this. My great colleagues here I've been working with for the last several months, and I in some ways feel closer to them and seen them more regularly than sometimes I do on campus. Diversity and inclusivity is absolutely critical. And, there are chances to get together. I mean, there are, if you're on campus and you can get together and you can social distance, wearing your face mask and sitting 6 feet apart, and you can find a classroom that's open, there are chances to have these conversations. There's chances to see each other. And if you ever are curious about initiatives in the diversity inclusivity space, Assistant Dean Kubicek and her team are doing an outstanding job in that area for our undergraduates. And to be honest, our undergraduates are leaders, I think, in this area, very much so. These have been conversations that they've been having for a very, very long time. And I think they've been ahead of the game in many, many ways. So I'm very proud of them. It's a challenge for sure. Maybe Dean Kubicek has any other words of wisdom for them on ways to stay connected. Don't give up.
That I would like to say is this is how the D&I team always starts every single meeting, and that is on the undergraduate side anyway. This is everyone's work. We are all allies to this. And our real mission is just to make an awareness so that things do improve in the college, on the Twin City campus, in Minneapolis, across the nation. Let's face it, we've had some really tragic news this summer in Minneapolis and across the country with the protests. And I think for us, the most important thing is get involved, be aware. You came to a very diverse Big Ten research institution that's known for their strong engineering and science programs. And for me, it's getting involved with other peers, peers that are like you and peers that aren't like you. It's not all about what are we doing in the College of Science and Engineering? Are you getting involved with things in research across the campus in the medical school? Are you getting involved with many research opportunities in the School of Public Health, for example, and the School of Public Affairs? I think students choose this university because There are so many ample opportunities, but I do go back to who and what we are as a college. And the most important thing that I can say is this is everyone's work and we all need to be involved. And it's beautiful work, actually. It's very rewarding work. And for me, the most important thing is just getting involved with the campus as a whole, not necessarily just, you know, the like-minded engineers in your major, but across the campus, there are many opportunities. And my lawnmower neighbor is really loud in my background. Sorry about that.
I just want to add to that because I read your question specifically that you're on the University of Minnesota triathlon team. And it seems to me that you can have a lot of training and social activities without violating any COVID protocols. And I think your goal to have a more diverse and inclusive environment among your team is a great goal. And I think it seems very achievable, and I wish you the best in reaching out and trying to build your membership and carrying on with your activities, which I could visualize. You can do a lot of outdoor training without any difficulty, and you can also interact either in place or intermittently via Zoom while you're training, using phones or FaceTime, whatever you want. I wish I were on the triathlon team right now. So thanks.
Thank you.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for you for that, Ellen. We have another question related to diversity, and that is what professors are doing. Apparently there have been some conversations about interactions with faculty and some experience that they have had with BIPOC students. So what are we doing to create a more safe space for them in the classrooms?
That's an excellent question. It's something that all of us as faculty are trying to better ourselves. One thing that our students should know is that all of our departments, particularly during this past few months, have been having really serious, substantive conversations around this issue. So the issue of better climate broadly within our college, certainly the university, but within each of our departments is front and center in all of our programs. And so if there are issues that are raised that are problematic, we're always here to hear from you and intervene as necessary. The department heads, the heads of the departments, and directors of undergraduate studies, directors of graduate studies, depending on which space you're in, are all very much committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to improving the climate. The college, as many of you, I hope many of you know about this, and maybe we can put the link again on the chat, has this incredible group of students, faculty, staff, and administrators called the D&I Alliance, Diversity and Inclusivity Alliance within the College of Science and Engineering. And that group is incredibly active, in this whole space, in helping all of us improve our climate and our culture. I do understand we were educated and we are educators in areas of science and engineering, and we understand the history of problems in science and engineering, in particular with respect to diversity. I mean, you can't believe this. Dean Strikowski mentioned that we had, what, 28% women in the entering class in the College of Science and Engineering. Well, an old guy like me comes from my class when I was an undergraduate, which had 250 graduating seniors in it with two women. And a good friend of mine was the first PhD student at University of California, Berkeley, in the area of electrical engineering and computer science. It's hard to believe that's not that long. I'm old, but not that old. So I'm not talking about a long time ago. So the point is that there is really this sad history, particularly within science and engineering, of lack of diversity and issues that many have faced. And there's been a great deal of improvement, a great deal of progress over the years, but a lot more that needs to be done and is happening. And we have, as a college, we're committed. You're committed, students are committed, our staff, our faculty are committed to working on it. Does it mean that it will bring up some potential conflicts and some struggles with some of us as we learn? Yes, that's the nature of evolution of anything that we're in. And this requires difficult conversations amongst us, faculty to faculty, for example. We have many difficult conversations around these amongst ourselves to try to better ourselves. Ultimately, all of us are learning as well as we try to improve ourselves. That's critical. And particularly this summer, I know for me, I have read more, I have attended more webinars, I have watched movies to learn more, particularly in the areas of racial justice in this case. So the bottom line is none of us have a magic bullet, but we are committed to bettering ourselves. Let me stop that. I don't know if any of my colleagues wish to add to that.
Just maybe amplify on we all are learning every day, and the experiences that we've had in Minneapolis and now in Wisconsin and all over this country have really pushed us to make huge change. In fact, at 3 o'clock today, many of us are going to be on another call talking about exactly what the college is going to do to keep moving forward, to keep learning, to keep understanding perspectives of undergraduates, graduate students, postdocs, staff, faculty, how we impact with the community. We have a lot to learn, and I'll be the first to admit that. And as I said at the very outset, I think some of the most progressive, most thoughtful ideas are coming from our undergraduates. I mean, you're way ahead of us. You really are. I'm grateful for that, and I'm happy to learn from you as I learn myself. So we keep trying, and we're not going to give up. We want to be the best that we can be, and all of the students are with us in this, and I know you feel the same way.
Great, thank you. So we actually have a number of questions that have come in, and we'll try to get to as many as we can live. I'm going to try to summarize a couple of them that are all somewhat related, and then we'll try to answer any by text that we can't get to. But a common theme that's coming in is kind of what are the costs and benefits of being on campus versus off? What resources are we missing by being off campus, and or what are the benefits of being on campus? And also, how are student fees affected by this, depending on the decisions that are made?
Well, Paul, would you like to start it off?
Not really. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Those are great questions, are hard questions. You know, one of the things that you mentioned in the question, Elizabeth, is being on campus. I pine for that. We all pine for that. There is nothing better, in my experience as an adult, being a young adult at a university campus, at a Big Ten public institution. It's a huge thing. It's a time in your life when you get to talk to people about your future, about their future. You can argue politics, you can argue sports, you can argue, is the grass been cut? I mean, but it is a great time to be a young person. And yes, we're all missing campus. We're desperately missing campus. I'm not going to pretend any other way. But we also, and I don't mean to sound trite, we tell our students, as we tell ourselves on a daily basis, adversity is something we deal with, and we're going to make the best of this, and we learn from it, and don't stop reaching out. If one of you is on campus and one of your friends is not, then go park your butt next to a big elm tree. I doubt we have any elm trees anymore, but by a oak tree and talk to your friends and say, hey, look, I'm on campus. Look at this. This is great. We're going to come back together. We're going to come back together. This too shall pass. And as you know, those of you who know me and I think know of me, I'm a positive person. I think you have to be positive. But again, if you do the heavy lifting of all of us being safe, then the probability of coming back sooner is higher. And that's what we want. And that's what our goal is here. Take care of yourself, take care of others, work hard. This too shall pass. So just keep the long game in perspective and you will be back and it will feel wonderful. That sunshine on your face as you lay on the mall or wherever you're going to be, we're walking along, East River Road, wherever it happened to be. These things matter. It's an important part of your life, and want it desperately, because it matters.
Let me just add a couple of words about the fees that were mentioned. Let's make sure what these are for. I certainly sympathize with our students. There are so many different fees that go into the statements that they receive, and sometimes there's confusion between these fees. Some of the fees may be course-specific fees, and they are for expendable supplies, for example, in some chemistry labs, as an example. So, as it happened with the way we pivoted last spring, when some of those expendables were not spent, then those fees were returned to the students. But some fees are broad, essentially infrastructure fees for programs that we offer that support our broad laboratory needs and our advising needs and the experiential learning possibilities and so forth that we provide. And those aren't changing. If anything, so if anything, the cost of actually pivoting to these different modalities for our courses, for our laboratories that have to be socially distanced. So we cannot take a laboratory section and fill it up in the way we normally do. So these have to be split up so that there is enough appropriate distancing for the classes. A lot of the IT infrastructure that we've had to beef up for delivery of online classes and remote delivery and so forth. All of these have been extra costs. So although the tuition has not gone up, has been frozen, and the fees have not changed, the fact is the cost for a college like ours actually has increased. So unfortunately, it's not that there's a tendency to think, well, if the class is offered in a remote sense, then that's somehow cheaper. It is not happening. That's not the way it has been. The effort that our faculty and staff and student TAs and others have spent on continuously updating the classes and the laboratories and making kits for the laboratories and so forth. These are all things that were unexpected, even within the current system of tuition fees. So that's really all I can share at this point.
Thank you. We have one that's more of a logistical question about classes, and that is that they've noticed that every professor and TA has had all different methods of sharing Zoom links and sharing different information online, and they're concerned about missing classes simply because they can't organize. Is there any chance that there will be more organization or that things could be streamlined more in the future as we kind of work out the online processes?
Jim, maybe I could open on it, but I think maybe an IT perspective would be appropriate here. I mean, there is no doubt. I experience the same thing. Entering Zoom can have a different flavor on any Tuesday versus Thursday, but Jim, are there some protocols that might make the process a bit more straightforward?
Well, unfortunately, Zoom is going to make it even more difficult coming up shortly. They're going to require passwords for everybody who has a Zoom link that isn't. And so I expect a few problems, even though we're going to try and advertise that fact out. If I'm reading the question right, it's not necessarily getting into Zoom, but having some consistency of where you would find the links and what the links where they would be. At least that's the question that I'm seeing. And that's a logistical problem that I don't know that we've even thought about. Some consistency between classes and where they put their links and how they share it. I'm not sure if is that the question that I'm answering, or are people really having that much Zoom problems?
No, I think you're getting it right. And I think what this asker is running into is the age-old problem that when each faculty member came of age with a particular set of technologies and ways of doing things. And so some of them put them in their schedule in Canvas, and some of them embed them into a syllabus that's a PDF file, and some of them embed them somewhere else. And I think we can hear and relay the concern through the directors of undergraduate studies that, you know, students are concerned that there isn't an equivalent as easy as looking up the classroom for a class. And it may be that our departments should just have a place where you could find the table of Zoom classrooms. But there's also something that probably can help on the student side, which is if you all are careful to log in with the single sign-on, the SSO of your UMN.edu ID, when you log into Zoom, that will also make it easier to find these, because the restrictions that are being placed for passwords and other things, we can put exceptions in place for people that are part of the UMN organization, but we can't do anything when you come in from outside. And so there may be a few things that we can try to relay that message. But I think the student is right. It can be challenging when you know, some of your faculty put it on their Canvas site and others don't. But we're all learning this together. And I think if you'd asked any of us 6 months ago, we didn't know Canvas had a place where you could link to Zoom. Actually, 6 months ago, it may not have even had that place yet. And the technologies are evolving perhaps faster than we're learning.
All right, well, I think that we have done our best to answer as many questions live as we can, and we're coming up on time, but we will continue to answer a couple that may be left in the chat. You can always email us at cseddean@umn.edu if you feel that anything hasn't been answered, and we will do our best to pass it along to the team and make sure that we address any questions that you have.
Paul has a comment.
Oh, Paul has a comment.
Elizabeth, there's been a couple of questions here on access to Anderson Labs, 3D printing, laser cutting, making. The labs are open, but of course it's COVID, so but and COVID go together. It means that we have protocols and they require safe spacing, and so appointments are necessary. So students, do not be shy. You want to use the Anderson Laboratories, you make an appointment. The protocols Anderson Lab has gone through very effective situations where you can be, where you can't be, how they clean the machines. And you might not want to make that appointment ahead of time. It may not, if you need something tomorrow night, you may not be able to do it. So plan accordingly, put your request in, and the labs are available to you, but we're going to only make them available in a safe way because we want to make sure that we all get through this whole. And so, and the Anderson Labs are open. There's some in the mechanical engineering building and the civil engineering building. So yeah, please make those cases, go to Anderson Lab, and this is for student groups. This is for, obviously we have to prioritize for material. Obviously the highest part, maybe not obviously, but the highest priority is for classes. And we have several classes that are built around making, 3D printing, prototyping, and what have you. But absolutely, please ask, and we will give you an answer that is safe and appropriate, and you can get access, but it's going to be on a request basis until further notice.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us, and our very best wishes for a successful semester.